Hey, it's your girl Mel with Shop Talk. Oh, we were Shop Talking today. If you want to catch up on what we talked about today with me and my guest, Dr. King, you can do so at blogtalkradio.com/Shop Talk with Mel. We talked about relationships. We had people that inbox, they had questions, called in with questions. So let's shop talk. Dr. King, I know that you're originally from the Youngstown, Ohio area. And then you moved to Jersey. What's happening in Jersey? Tell me.
Actually right now I'm spending a lot of time working with the juvenile courts in New Jersey, in Bergen County and Passaic County, working with behavioral issues with youth who have, in the system for some reason or other, they've committed some low-level crimes or whatever, and the courts are giving them an opportunity to try to get their life straightened out, and I'm a part of the post-dispositional process that they get an opportunity to sit with me on a week-to-week basis, and I do classes and do certain tutorial modules with them, interactive worksheets to help them to understand, some of their life skills and some of the tools that they should have gotten maybe as they were growing up, but some kind of way those tools were missed. And now we're trying to retrofit them, as I say, retrofit them with some of the life skills and tools that they need to go forward. And so that's what I do spend most of my time doing in New Jersey, is working with young people through the courts in two different counties.
Okay. He went into great detail about all that. So like I said before, you can go to blogtalkradio.com or blogtalkradio.com/Shop Talk with Mel, or shoptalkwithmel.com. Visit the website and I'll take you right on into there. So when we talked about that and what you're doing in New Jersey, we got into some for real shop talk. Relationships. I call you my relationship guru. I'm going to put it right on you so we can get this going. There were some interesting questions that was on the show today.
Yes, there were.
Now, I said, when we were talking about it, you said ask some of the questions that were on my, phone or whatever the case may be that people were asking. The one girl was talking about, the guy was a good one. When he talked about, can you date your friend's ex? How would you feel dating your friend's ex? It was something on that order. Let me go back here. Do you remember that question? Mm-hmm. So what's your thoughts on that, being a male?
Well, being a mature male, because that's the first thing, is that you've got to be able to be mature about how you're dealing with life, how you deal with relationships, particularly as they apply to other people in their lives, because people have a right to live, they have a right to find happiness, they have a right to be able to pursue what they feel like is a viable interaction and relationship with another person without having to be concerned who that person's previous relationships were. In this particular case, you've got a friend situation. So sometimes people have drawn these lines that they actually believe that, one should not date someone who used to be my ex. Or my girlfriend should not date my ex-boyfriend because she knows he's my ex. And people want to take ownership of people, from that point on, that there's a hands-off type of attitude, and that's only an issue if the relationship if it's a new or a fresh wound, where the person has just recently broken up and they're still reeling from the loss of that person or the breakup, and they're still dealing with some of the pangs of the actual breakup itself. Then I think that to be able to date that person, even though that person comes at you, there should be a certain loyalty that you have to your friend, because the person that's coming at you, that's this person's ex, I'm assuming the fact that you have not had any interaction with that person prior to that. Now, with that being said, you got some people who will date their friend's ex, and there has already been some undertones of things going on between them already.
Oh, that's shady.
Yeah, that's just sometimes it's easy for that relationship to pick up
when the relationship ends, because they already got started. This motor's been running for some time. But if in fact there has been a hands-off, nothing going on between the two, then there's a certain loyalty you have to help your friend to get through it, because now if you start dating them when they're still in that painful time period, now you're adding to the pain that person has to deal with, not only dealing with the loss of that person, but also dealing with seeing the person with you. But if that relationship has been something that has been over with for a period of time, and life goes on, and people deal with death, so we can deal with death, we can deal with relationship death, so that when our relationship ends and people go on with their lives, and let's say your friend ends up some kind of way, your ex ends up finding some type of connection with your friend, you should be able to handle that, and you should give them your blessings that, hopefully that it didn't work with you and I hope it works for you and her, or you and him, and just move on with that. And if you're a well-adjusted adult, you should have no problem being around that person and being around your ex after the relationship is over. There should not be any issues. If you still feel something when you come around your ex with your girlfriend or your best bud, whatever, if you still feeling something, then that means there's some things going on inside of you with that relationship. There's some residual stuff that you have to kind of clean house and get rid of. But based on the time of how long that relationship has been apart, it should not be an issue.
Okay. What about marriage advice for newlyweds?
Well, probably the best advice that I can probably give newlyweds is understand that you have just come together with another individual. You have now bonded with this person, and scripturally, when it says the two shall become one, the word "become" is operative in that phrase, because become means a process. It's not something that the two doesn't say, and the two are one. It says the two shall become, which means there's a time period that has to elapse where those individuals will begin to build and learn and collaborate and compromise and communicate to where there is a spirit of oneness that evolves between them, and they become one out of a desire of wanting to know each other better and understand what changes they have to make this relationship work. So my advice to married couples or new married couples is you want to try and keep your families and outside individuals out of the decisions and goings on inside of your family, because you're learning how to get along with this person and how to mesh with them, and you will not get it right if you've always got somebody else's voice in your ear other than that person. There's certain things you got to figure out on your own. You know what I mean? It's just like raising a child. You got to figure it out. And you're inside, you got to listen and watch and learn this person, learn the environment, learn yourself. And the more you have other people talking to you and giving you advice, it's going to undermine your relationship, and it's going to create resentment with your partner because you're listening to other people more than you're listening to them. So I would say keep other people out and allow your dialogue to be more, even in problem solving, allow your dialogue to be mainly between you and that person. And particularly, you surely don't want, say this to ladies, you don't want to have your advisors to be other female friends of yours who are not married. They're not in a viable relationship. So you surely don't want a person telling you how to make your marriage and your relationship work when they haven't been in a viable relationship for some time, or they've never been married. If you're going to seek a confidant that can share with you the ins and outs of how to deal with things, if you need someone to speak to you, you want to find someone that is, number one, that is married, or has been married for a period of years. And if they're not, it's because maybe they've been married for 30, 40 years and their spouse has passed away. Their relationship was a viable relationship until that death. You're going to find an older person who has some wisdom to share with you, because their wisdom will not be tainted with emotion. Mm-hmm. It will be wisdom. It will be really firm, founded concepts on what you should do. And one of the things they'll tell you, older women will tell you, that you need to keep other people out of your relationship, particularly other women, and they will share that with you.
I heard that. You talked about the Kool-Aid and the water. We got a few more minutes, so I want you to give that analogy out there. I like that one.
Well, when it comes to relationships, we've got to try to find the person that is the right blend for us, that is the right mix, and not only the right mix, but a mix that will stay mixed. Mm-hmm. And I use the example of that. That when you're trying to find someone, you got to really pay attention to who they are and what they're doing, what they're not doing, with their willingness to compromise with you. Because again, when it says the two shall become one, mm-hmm. okay, once they become one, they stay one. And I use the example that if I'm sitting here and I'm a quart of water, and I am longing to be in a relationship because I'm just a quart of water, and it's a very bland life. It's not as enjoyable. It's not as fun. It's not as colorful as it could be. Mm-hmm. And so I find this young lady who is just the most beautiful package of Kool-Aid. And we decide we want to get together. And so she opens up her package and she pours her substance into my water, and we we shake that thing up for mm-hmm. a couple of months and a couple of years, and we just shaking it. And finally, when we're done shaking it, we set it down and we begin to live our lives. And this being a good mix, if you come back 10 years later and you look at that quart sitting there on the table, it's still Kool-Aid. It doesn't, once the Kool-Aid has decided it's going to dissolve and mix with the water, it never settles out and becomes Kool-Aid again. It's just, they stay together. The water is no longer water, mm-hmm. and the Kool-Aid is no longer powder. Mm-hmm. Together, they are now a Kool-Aid, a wonderful, enjoyable drink, a wonderful situation for both people. But by the same token, if I'm just quart of water sitting here and I meet a young lady that I think that maybe we'd be able to mix together, and I'm unaware to me that this woman she's a quart of oil. Mm-hmm. And so she pours her substance into my water, and we shake that thing up, for mm-hmm. a couple of days, couple of months, a couple of years, and it becomes well mixed, and you set it down on the table, and you come back in a few weeks or a few months or a few years, and when you look at that quart, which is now 2 quarts, it has now settled out, and there's a clear separation between the water and the oil, to where both individuals who were one for a time have now become individuals again, purely and completely separated from each other. The line of separation is clear, and that lets me know right off the bat that this was not a good mix in the first place. Mm-hmm. Maybe I wasn't aware of it in the beginning, maybe I wasn't paying attention. But there are some individuals that, based on their differences in personality, their differences in background, their differences in upbringing, their difference in their overall outlook on life, their overall outlook on relationships and family and religion or whatever it may be, these individuals are just different. And I don't care how long you shake them up. I don't care how well blended it looks. Given a certain amount of time, the separation is going to happen, because they just were not a good mix in the first place. And sometimes we can see that and we ignore it when we see it, mm-hmm. because we like the person and we really want it to work. We really want this person so badly. And the question is we want the person, but do we need them? Is this the person that we really need? And determine what we need. We've got to sit down and take stock in ourselves and determine who you are. What type of person are you? What are the needs that you have? What are the weaknesses you have? What can another person shore up and bring to you that would make you a better person? You can't do that until you know who you are. And so many people get into relationships, and the first problem that they have, I always say this, and I say it regarding women because I'm a man, but it's not just independent of women, it's women and men combined, but I usually reference it as it applies to women that, the next thing you find, ladies, after you find Mr. Right, is you find out you're Mrs. Wrong. And that is that you actually were out looking for the right guy, and you spent so much of your time outwardly viewing and rather than inwardly viewing. And once you find this guy that you think is a great guy, it seems to not work for you, even though he's a great guy and everybody tells you what a great guy he is, but it's not working. And the reason why it's not working is because you spent no time working on you. You spent all your time outwardly looking at trying to find the perfect person as opposed to trying to make yourself a better person.
Word.
So that once you find this person, you can keep the person. It's like a job. You know what I mean? We say it all the time that I can get you a job, but you got to keep it. Well, you know what? The good Lord can show you a good man, but you got to keep him. Good Lord can show you a good woman, but you got to keep him. And if you don't know enough about yourself as to what changes you need to make somebody want to spend their time with you, because some people, are out here that I don't care who it is.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody can live with you. There are some people out here that until you realize what changes you need to make in yourself, it's going to be very difficult for you to find somebody who wants to spend the rest of their life with you because you just need work done. There's some things that you need to change about yourself, and that's not a bad thing because we all come through our situations and circumstances. We're products of our environment, but that doesn't change the fact that there are some things about you that are the leftovers of a difficult time in your life. And you've got to fix those things before you try to connect your wife into somebody else's.
I heard that. Now listen, I need you to tell the people how they can get in contact with you.
Oh, well, first of all, you can go and check my website. My website is fertileground.com. Letter U, letter R, fertileground.com is my website. You can go view on there and make comment if you want. My email address is ronaldking611@gmail.com. ronaldking611@gmail.com. Drop me a line, drop me a question, and I'll respond back with the best answer that I can find for you.
Yay! I'm glad you came on the show. I really, really am. Hey, listen, if you want more of this conversation, want to hear what we talked about, you can definitely, like I said before, go to blogtalkradio.com/ShopTalkWithMel. And the topic is, if it don't fit, don't force it. And I'm on every single Saturday from 10 a.m. to 12 noon. Visit the website, ShopTalkWithMel.com. And that's our time. Find you, embrace you, most importantly, always love you. Thanks for coming in. I'm glad you came and visited from Jersey. Peace.